Hey everyone, Zslayerdre here. Today I wanted to just do a channel update and let everyone know what I'm planning for my channel in the future. I've had a ton of fun doing all the reviews this release season. There have been a lot of games, but it's just been an absolute blast to go through all of them and review them and help everyone make informed purchasing decisions. So today I wanted to kind of go over what my plans are for the future, how I, do my reviews and ratings in those reviews, and just some general, upkeep for the channel. So first off, I'm gonna kind of just give kind of a general overview, and then I might kind of get a little podcasty near the end. But to start things off, what I plan to do in the future is I am definitely gaming reviews is definitely what I wanted to do as the main part of the channel, but there's definitely a lot of other things I wanted to do. I've noticed a lot of people have come to the channel from my trophy hunting video. I definitely do have some other trophy hunting content planned, actually a few guides and a couple other videos involving that, so definitely stay tuned for that. Like I said, so we got the trophy hunting reviews. I'm going to also continue to do general news stories. Just with the amount of releases lately, I just haven't been able or had the time really to do other videos. But I will be doing, news videos, and I kind of want to do a couple of videos taking like a really in-depth look at some gameplay design from recent games that I've played and from ones in the past, and kind of really look at what works and what doesn't. I think this is a very interesting topic to myself. And then lastly, I have some other content planned. I would like to do some TV show reviews, especially ones that have games related to them, so I could review the game and the show. Obviously that's kind of more of a very long-term project, and it's not going to be the main focus of the channel, but just something different to do here and there. I also have a few other things planned, but it's in the very early stages of planning. Needless to say, I have a lot of things planned, and I am really looking forward to doing it all. So for those who are new to the channel, just found it, make sure you're subscribed. I have a ton of content coming. Right now I'm doing kind of 1 or 2 videos a week, just because I'm spending so much time playing games. Then just for release season, this is the first time I'm really getting into doing regular videos. So next year, this time around, I'll be a little bit more prepared to get them other videos. Maybe I'll have some other videos, done beforehand, so I'll have more content coming out. I definitely want to continue at least 1 video a week, although I would like to do at least 2 and then maybe step it up to 3 at some point. So there'll be, regular content coming out from me. Unfortunately, I would love to do just less videos, but of very high quality. Unfortunately, the way YouTube goes, you need to do a lot of videos at very high quality, so it kind of limits what you can do in a certain sense. So I'm going to have to kind of figure that out. But yeah, some other things I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of where it's going to get into the semi-podcast. So first I'll go over how I do reviews and how I rate games. So the rating is it's a rating of the quality of the content of the game. It's how good is the story, how well does the game have functional gameplay mechanics, are they good gameplay mechanics, are they ones that have worked in the past, kind of. When I do a rating, it's kind of judging it against all the games I've played in the past, which has been hundreds if not thousands of games at this point. I mean, I'm 32 and I've been playing games since I can remember, and I've played a lot of games. I've gone back, especially the past few years, and just played the highest regarded games and some that aren't, and it's really fun to see what works and what doesn't. But I have to say, I think the rating it's just one tool and judging whether you think a game is for you or not. The example I like to use is an 8 out of 10 isn't the same for everybody. So say I review 2 games and they're both 8 out of 10. One's a racing game and one's a first-person shooter. People who don't like a racing game, it doesn't matter how good the racing game is, if you're just not into racing games, you're probably not going to enjoy it. That doesn't mean it's a bad game though. That 8 out of 10 racing game would be judged against all the other racing games and be of a pretty high quality. I mean, 8 out of 10 is a very good game, so for racing fans, you probably would enjoy that. But yeah, and it might, a racing game that good might win over some people that aren't into racing, but for the most part, people who don't like racing games aren't going to enjoy it. Same thing for the 8 out of 10 for first-person shooter. If you're if you're basically just into racing games and don't play much else, the 8 out of 10 first-person shooter you're probably not going to enjoy it as much. So it's really on personal preference on if it's a style of game you like, but that doesn't change the quality of the game, So that's what I mean when the rating is really about the quality. So for whether or not, my main goal is to be as impartial as possible and give people the information that they need to make an informed purchasing decision. So I would say the content of the review is more important than the actual rating. So the ratings are fun and it does serve a purpose, but at the end of the review, I will say who I think the game's for. If you're a fan of this, you might like it. If you don't like these type of things, it might not be for you, that type of stuff. But then, you have to also listen to the gameplay mechanics of the game. Even if you like RPGs, if it doesn't have mechanics in the RPGs that you don't like in a certain game, you might not enjoy it as much. Or for instance, there might be a game that's a 5 out of 10, but it has that one gameplay mechanic that you absolutely love. You might be able or willing to put up with all the other. If it's a 5 out of 10, it probably has some pretty severe problems, but you might be willing to put up with those problems just because there's that one gameplay mechanic or gameplay loop that you love so much you can just kind of ignore all the bad parts about it. So, so just because a game's a 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 doesn't mean it's not necessarily worth playing or checking out. Again, there might not be as many people who like it, but if there's a gameplay mechanic in there that you love, you might enjoy those games. So that's why the content is really more important than the actual rating. And then there will be those games that are just basically irredeemable. They're across the board just bad just a really poorly put together story. The gameplay mechanics don't work. There's a ton of bugs and glitches. Probably pretty heavily monetized, tons of special editions. Perfect example would be Watch Dogs Legion. There are almost no redeeming qualities of that game. Everything wrong in a game that could possibly have gone wrong went wrong. And one thing I really don't like about other reviews, I'm not calling anyone out, but I have heard that some reviewers will not put bugs and glitches into their reviews or have that affect their rating. I'm sorry, but I came from a time I grew up in a time where you had to have a functioning game to release or the game was going to bomb. And because of the patch culture that goes on now, game companies think it's okay to just release these broken messes of games, and it's fine, and it's really not. I'm going to judge a game. If they think that's okay to sell to a customer, that's how I'm going to judge it. So if it's broken, I'm going to let you know, and that's going to reflect in the rating. Obviously some bugs, no game is going to be bug free, and some bugs are more obnoxious than others, but if a game is just consistently broken, it's going to reflect in the score. And also, there's always a question of, like I said, they release them broken and may take a year or two for them to fix, and 2 years down the road, the game might be significantly different than when released. That doesn't change the fact that when it released, they felt fine selling a game for $60 or even now $70, or for the full complete edition, $100, $120, $130, $40 now. It's getting insane. And also the monetization practices will also be taken account and to the rating. There's no reason for content to be carved out of the game and then resold in microtransactions or DLC or loot boxes. Loot boxes will pretty negatively affect the score. There's absolutely no place for them in gaming at all. I'm not gonna say it's destroying gaming, but it's really harming it. A lot of publishers do seem to be going away from them, thankfully, but they're still aggressively monetizing in other ways, like especially the battle pass, which is something I'm personally pretty worried about. But there's games that there's just no reason for them to have microtransactions, and they still have them just because they have to have them, and it really is it's pathetic. So that will be taken into account into the rating of the game. Especially single player games, there is no reason for microtransactions whatsoever. If they want to release an expansion that actually provides content, that's fine, as long as it's worth the price they're selling, because a lot of the season passes that actually contain content, a lot don't, but the few that do contain content, most of them are just an hour too long, and they cost, sometimes they cost 2/3 the price of the game. If a game is $60 and the season pass is $40, that is 2/3 the price of the game. I would expect 2/3 of the content of the game, and usually they don't provide even a 10th or a 20th of the game. A perfect example, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that is one of the worst examples I've seen, but we have 2 of the 3 DLC out already, and it's provided next to no content. And I know Bandai Namco is, they're getting up there with the rest as far as greediness goes, but I know they said that the last DLC is going to be the one with the most content, but judging off the first two we've seen, I would not be surprised if the last DLC was maybe an hour or two of content. So absolutely not worth the price of admission. This is just them knowing they have a niche market. There's no real competition against Dragon Ball Z, and they can charge whatever they want, and it's unacceptable. So I'm pretty firmly against DLC, microtransactions, or not. I shouldn't say I'm against them. Inherently, I think they're fine. It's just the way that publishers implement them that's the problem. There's nothing wrong. Like, if you have a great game, obviously you want more content, that's fine. As long as the base game releases in a functional manner and is completed, and then they decide after the game is successful that they want to release additional content, that's fine as long as it's reasonably priced. And then we also have the problem, another issue is kind of like remakes and remasters. That's probably a topic for an actual video that I'm going to make discussing my feelings on that. But some do it well, some don't. So it's a lot more complicated than that, but something I will be discussing. But that's the type. It kind of gives you an idea of the type of stuff I want to talk about. Those type of things. I think it's fun to have discussions about them. I think we need to have discussions about them because publishers want to push it one way, and I think most consumers don't want it to go that way. So we need to stop it before it starts, basically. So as far as reviews go, right now I'm working on Yakuza Like a Dragon and World of Warcraft Shadowlands. They're a bit longer than I thought they would be. I don't know. One of those will be probably the next video, and then maybe Cyberpunk after that. It depends on what I can do while I'm playing Cyberpunk. Obviously, I want to get that out as soon as possible. And then after that, I have a couple. I want to do the top 5 best games of 2020 video. So I will go back and I've played most of the big releases, but there are a few. Even if I didn't do a review for all of them, but I played most of the big games. There are a few more that I need to go back and play. Most notably, off the top of my head, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Doom Eternal. There might be one or two other ones. But I think I've played mostly everything. And obviously I can't play every game. I mean, there is a limit to time, so obviously, I mean, it's impossible to play every game that comes out in the year, but I'm gonna, I'm basically have played all the, the generally accepted big games, I guess, so I want to at least, have played most of the big games, and yeah, so I think it's been a weird year for games, definitely with the new consoles releasing. I personally have not been able to get PS5, or personally what I wanted to do was get a new graphics card first. Obviously those were like impossible to get. Then my backup plan was get a PS5, obviously, and those are impossible to get, so I'm at the point where I'm just going to grab whatever I can find first. I would really prefer to get an RTX 3080. We will see if I'm able to find one or not. If I find a PS5 first, I'll just get that and upgrade my computer later. But it really sucks. If anyone listening to this has been able to grab a new graphics card or a new console, let me know. I'm happy for you that you were able to get it. I hope no one's paying these scalpers. It's really horrible. Something needs to be done about scalping. I mean, this is just going to become... If people think this is just because of the pandemic, something else is... They're going to might be a little shocked to see. This is not going to go away. This is going to be the new normal. Anything desirable coming out in the future, this is going to happen with everything. It's not just video games that are going to be affected. I mean, it's already been a problem for tickets. Anyone who goes to concert frequently, or before the pandemic, obviously, but anyone who frequently went to sports games or concerts already knows the issues with scalping. And I guess it's been a problem in clothing, especially shoes, and it's going to be going into... I guess hot tubs was a problem too. It's ridiculous, but it's going to become a problem, honestly. Things will get a little bit better when we can buy stuff at stores. It's still gonna, as far as online sales go, I mean, it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse with these bots. So something has to be done, whether legally or the websites have to figure out something. I know most of them don't care, because as long as they make a sale, they just don't care, and then eBay's probably making a killing. But something needs to be done, and we unfortunately have to be the ones that speak out about it to make change happen. So hopefully we figure out, and everyone, but hopefully by next year more supply will come in. I think it's going to be at least the summer before they're somewhat readily available. If not, it might be 2022 before stuff really starts to normalize. We will have to see. hopefully it's sooner than that. I really hope I get my hands on a new graphics card before that. I have an RTX 2060. I did win the silicone lottery with it. It is a great 2060, but I mean, it's still a 2060. It has a limit. I've found with some of the open world games, it definitely struggles. And if games are well optimized, it runs great at 1080p, but I want to move up to 1440p. I want to get a 1440p 144 FPS monitor so I can start doing content. And that resolution, I mean, unless it's like a Switch game, obviously it's gonna have to stay at 1080p, but for stuff I do on PC, I'd like to, you know, put up better quality videos. So hopefully I'll be able to get that soon. But anyways, thank you so much if you found the channel, for watching my videos. If you've subscribed, again, thank you. If you're not subscribed already, like I said, now's a great time. I have a ton of content coming out. Follow me at Twitter. I'll have a link down in the description below. I've been starting to get more active on there, so you can, when I do new videos, I'll post up on there. And thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care.